What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so today is the day of reckoning when it comes to Sean Diddy Combs' sentencing. All right, we will learn whether or not he will walk and leave lockup as a free man, or whether or not he will spend an extended period of time behind bars. Okay? So one day before Sean Diddy Combs' sentencing, the rap mogul's former girlfriend is pushing back on prosecutors' claims that she was trafficked or involved in, let's call it, trickery. Virginia, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Virginia Hun, ex-girlfriend, identified as victim 3 in the indictment, and Dina, during the trial, told Judge Aaron Savaramian in a letter that she was, quote, pressured to feel like a victim by prosecutors, and she believes Combs should be released to his family. She said in this letter, I told them I was not, as far as being a victim, but they insisted that I was, even when I expressed my truth otherwise, she wrote, referring to prosecutors. I understand they concluded that I had been trafficked and involved in, quote, forced trickery. I did not agree with that conclusion. I was not trafficked. I did not engage in trickery with him or others. Prosecutors initially planned to call Hun as a witness during Combs' trial this summer, but later said they were unable to reach her. Other witnesses testified she was in a relationship with Combs while he was dating Cassie Ventura, and one witness said she witnessed Combs being violent to her back in 2015. Gina, though she went without testifying, is a main character in this trial. Prosecutor Christy Slavic told the court back in June. In August, after Combs' conviction, Hun wrote the judge a similar letter requesting that Combs be released, arguing he was no longer violent and deserved to be with his family. Our relationship, like many, was not always perfect. We experienced ups and downs and mistakes were made, but he was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions in the future. Combs' submission to the court also includes letters of support from mentees, former employees, and friends from jail. Miles Gu, an exiled Chinese billionaire convicted of defrauding investors of hundreds of millions of dollars, wrote a letter based on their time together behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, saying, I have had multiple conversations with him, and they have been very peaceful, enlightened, and motivational. I see Mr. Combs as a very kind, sensitive, and genius person. He really cares about his name and his reputation. Maribel Flacqua, whose son served time alongside the music mogul, urged the judge to release Combs, writing, I truly believe this experience and Diddy's mentorship have changed the trajectory of Raymond's life. In July, a jury found Combs guilty of transportation to engage in trickery in connection with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and guilty of transportation to engage in trickery in connection with another ex-girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym, Jane. Combs was found not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, the most serious charge. He was also found not guilty of both charges of trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion in connection with Ventura and Jane. He is scheduled to be sentenced today. Combs plans to speak in court in the most dignified and respectful fashion possible, according to a court filing last week. Federal prosecutors argue Combs deserves at least 11 years in prison, while Combs' attorneys are seeking time served. Combs has been in custody since his September 2024 arrest. My personal belief is that I was hoping that he would walk, but I'm getting a feeling that they're going to make him serve time. I think it would be. I honestly don't even understand why he's still behind bars. I really don't, because people keep saying, well, he beat her. That's disgusting. But I've seen dudes beat on women, right? Go to prison or go to jail and get out in a couple of months, right? And also that's not what they charged him with. And he beat the most serious charges. And he's been locked up for a year. And they used the Mann Act, which was a racist act invented to get Jack Johnson locked up because he was having sex with white women. I mean, the fact they used that act, this is the most racist bullshit I've ever seen in my life. You know? And, I also find it interesting that October 3rd, today, the day that he's going to be sentenced, just happens to be the 30th anniversary of the O.J. Simpson verdict. Almost as if the federal government saying, we're going to rub it in your collective faces. We're going to throw the book at a notable black figure. We're going to throw the book at him just as a reminder of how repulsed we were with how this other guy got off for killing one of ours or unaliving one of ours or two of ours 30 years ago. It's just interesting that date pops up, you know what I'm saying? But look, man, at the end of the day, nobody's going to change my opinion on how I feel about this. You can huff and puff and blow your house down. At the end of the day, it ain't about whether I think that Diddy's a good person or bad person. Whenever I see a Charlie Sheen walking around, doing interviews, getting to plug a book, possibly gonna make millions in the next couple of years off of book deals. He might be back on television soon. And we look at all the things that Charlie Sheen has been accused of and what he's admitted to, right? And you want to talk about violence to women. Charlie Sheen shot Kelly Preston. And the media barely talked about that. Shot his own girlfriend. And never really spent any meaningful day behind bars in his life. Beat his girlfriends, beat them to death, threatening to unalive his own children. I mean, it's just a litany of horrors with Charlie Sheen. Lived the ultimate party lifestyle, almost overdosed multiple times. It's a miracle he's still alive. And this guy's a real life PDF. If you look into Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, and nobody gives a fuck. So I'm sorry. People don't give a fuck about him. People don't give a fuck about how Sean Penn back in, I think, the late 80s, tied up and threatened and beat and assaulted Madonna physically, sexually. Never was locked up for it. Sean Penn has a history of racism. Sean Penn has a history of being violent toward women, extremely violent toward women, and never really been locked up, if I'm not mistaken. Not really. Not for a meaningful period amount of time. So no, we're not going to have a certain set of standards where other people get excuse for their behaviors, and then other people like Sean Diddy don't. I will make the argument that maybe what changed Diddy was drug uses. Maybe drug usage is what changed and altered his personality. Maybe the best thing for him was to be locked up this past year. Anybody ever thought that maybe it was drugs that was making him act the way he act? Because everybody else get excuses, except for us. When we do it, it's our nigga character flaw. It's in our nigga genes. You know what I'm saying? Instead of something that we're doing. But anyway, we'll see what happens.